This is the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast. Here's Rick Ucchino and SP3 on the Believe Podcast Network.
Oh, yes, that is right, ladies and gentlemen. We are back. Rick Ucchino, SP3, here on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast channel, available now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio app. We are all over the place. There is no excuse not to listen to us, unless you think we suck. But hopefully you don't think we suck, and hopefully you're listening to us and you're enjoying what you're hearing. We got a lot of good stuff coming up on today's episode as we break down last night's AEW Dynamite, which included yet another introduction, a new member to the AEW roster, the ever-growing AEW roster. Sid is very, very excited about this new addition. Mr. Brody King coming over from Ring of Honor. We got to see some on-screen sparks between the good doctor and her real-life boyfriend, Adam Cole. Bay. Want to talk about Adam Cole on this episode today, Sid, because, man, just the reactions that I'm seeing from him, the star power I'm seeing from him. He's got his boys, the Undisputed Era, or should I say the new era surrounding him. I'm getting very NXT Adam Cole vibes here, and that could only lead to one thing. And will it come sooner rather than later? I do want to talk about that. But, sir, how are we this fine evening after this episode of Dynamite?
Much better than yesterday after NXT 2.0. This was a much more enjoyable professional wrestling show that felt like a professional wrestling show. There was like promo segments, there was good in-ring action. We got nice little angles to progress stories that are going on, and I very much enjoyed this episode. I won't say anything stood out above anything else outside of the main event really being like a good picture into how AEW is very committed into their future, and it's not just the pillars, it's other guys, and we saw it throughout the show as well.
Yeah, this was an episode for big hosses and the young guns, and I don't mean like the actual I don't mean the ass boys. I mean the young gun, the young guns that you can tell, you know, the guys who are in their early 20s who this company really wants to build around, the Sami Guevaras, the Daniel Garcias, the Dante Martins, and they always get a really great showings. They don't always win. Dante Martin did tonight over Powerhouse Hobbs, got a little bit of an assistance there in that victory. Bit of an unexpected assistance from Mr. Jay Lethal tonight. Not sure what to make about that, but that's going to be interesting to watch. This may seem like a dumb comment, though, by the way. I do want to talk about this briefly, and I know what you're thinking, Rick. You have a dumb comment. I don't believe it. But it seems like every week I have this same thought that goes through my head. And I can't believe it. I can't believe I'm not used to it by now. But every single week I watch Dynamite and I go, damn, this tag team division is stacked. Yeah, it is incredible. It's like they showcase 2, 3, 4, 5 tag teams on a show, and then they'll roll out 3 more in a backstage segment. And I'm like, Jesus. It's like, and they just added a tag team with Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, who's one of the best tag teams in the world. It makes me almost think that the tag team titles themselves are the most prestigious in the entire company, just with how deep that roster is.
I mean, if you look at tonight's show, they very much put a focus on the tag team titles. We kicked off the show with the Young Bucks, the longest reigning AEW World Tag Team Champions, coming out saying they want the titles. Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly say they want the titles. They were approached by Best Friends, which are another title contender. Backstage, we had Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho having a conversation where Eddie Kingston says Santana and Ortiz aren't the tag team champions because of Chris Jericho.
Yeah.
You had a setup for FTR versus the Nightmare Family. You had Jurassic Express and Alex Reynolds and John Silver. And you had the Acclaim get a victory over Bear Country to set up Acclaim versus Sting and Darby Allin, who are undefeated. So it's like a very much towards that segment of the show, I was very much thinking, I was like, they just threw at us like 4 or 5 options to verse Jurassic Express at Revolution, and we're like 6 weeks away, and it's just very unpredictable where you can have any of these teams against Jurassic Express, and it's a pay-per-view quality type of matchup.
If you look, and we're not always going to compare AEW to WWE, but like if you lost the caliber of a tag team like the Lucha Brothers in WWE, the tag team division would almost be decimated just by the way that it's set up. Because WWE's tag teams, they don't rely on traditional tag teams. They have like the Usos, the New Day, which by the way, we'll bring up the New Day briefly here because we got something special for you coming up this week. But other than that, they shoehorn people together. RK Bros, the hottest tag team on Monday Night Raw, until they just lost the tag team titles to Alpha Academy, which were 2 dudes that they threw together late last year. Now, granted, they have some history with one another. It would be great if they actually, leaned on that on television whatsoever. But you get my point here. It's like if they lost a tag team the caliber of the Lucha Brothers, they would be almost screwed with how they booked their tag team division, but they almost wouldn't even care. And that's part of the problem. This is why I appreciate AEW so much. It's like, not only do they care about their tag team division, but they push it out to the forefront. We didn't even bring up FTR,
we didn't bring up Brody King debuting and not give us a new tag team in the House of Black with Malachi Black. So it's like, and it's another key thing where, for a long time, maybe AEW was talked about for having great wrestling. Then they were talked about for great storytelling. Right now, they are going to be talked about for their depth of roster. Because when you look at WWE in comparison, if WWE at one time had a show, any show, that usually has Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, and Bryan Danielson on the show, and then they're just not completely off the show, it would fall apart. But this show, all they did is focus on the tag teams. We're gonna introduce Adam Cole and Britt Baker and pop the people on social media.
Another tag team. Another new tag team.
We're gonna debut Brody King. We're gonna even like the women's division didn't get a lot of in-ring time, but they did a lot to just make sure this is the story going on with these people. Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez, they're gonna have a video package on Rampage. Britt is now with Adam Cole, and now they're gonna be versing Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy. Serena Deeb is like the baddest chick on the block right now after tonight, when she just ran through Hikaru Shida, and that feud is still going on. You got the little beef between Chris Statlander and Layla Hirsch. So there's like a lot going on in the 2 divisions that you would say that took a back seat to the main event for a while. They're just putting the focus on it now.
I do want to bring up one other tiny little thing, because I think it bears mentioning, pun intended. I've stood next to Max Caster before. All right. I know how large of a human being that man is. He looked like a baby in the arms of Bear Bronson this evening. And it's just mind-boggling to me. I don't really have anything to add there. I just wanted to bring that up, that calling themselves bears, that's a very appropriate name, because those are 2 very, very large human beings. And as our good friend Jeremy Bennett brought up on Twitter, because I did tweet that statement out, it does make what Hook did with I'm sorry, I'm talking about Bear Boulder. Yeah, I said Bear Bronson earlier. I meant Bear Boulder, who's even bigger. But it made what Hook did against Bear Bronson all that more impressive. And I figured you would appreciate that sentiment, being the number 1 hooker on the entire planet. Did bring up New Day and the Usos earlier, and I did that on purpose because I wanted to set up this. Had the chance to talk to the hand of the king, Sir Kofi Kingston, earlier today. That entire interview is going to be dropping on our channel 7 a.m. Friday morning. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure if you can't watch the video, make sure you hop on the iHeartRadio app or Spotify or Google Podcasts, whichever. Hell, log on to Believe.com, search Believe in Pro Wrestling Podcast, and you can find us there. We are literally everywhere. 7 a.m. That entire interview with Kofi Kingston is going to drop. He's one of my favorite people to talk to. He's very fun. What you see from Kofi Kingston on TV is what you get in real life. That guy is just a beam of positive energy and a bright light in this world, and he must be protected at all costs. So it was very, very fitting that he was the first guest ever for our new channel here. And I did ask him, though. I had to ask him about people like you, SP3. I had to ask him about these people who bitch, moan, and complain about getting New Day versus Uso matches, and then after they're done going, that was pretty good. That was awesome. That's a really, really good match. I had to ask him about that, and this is what he had to say.
Laugh about that all the time because, I never heard so many people complain about like a guaranteed great match. You know what I'm saying? Like you go out there and complain, oh, I gotta watch another great match. Well, I'm tired. Every match that we've had with the Usos, like we pride ourselves on, making it better than the last, and I always say this, and I don't mean to like compare myself to like the Dudleys and the Hardys and, and Edge and Christian, but with their ladder matches, like that was the standard that they set, was to outdo themselves every single time. It's so easy working with the Usos, man. Like we have the same mentality, no matter where we are on the card. We seek to steal the show, as you saw on day one. Like they were like, you gonna put us first? Okay, well, we're gonna try to set the table a little high. You're gonna need a booster seat to sit up there and eat. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, we just love going out there, and you're blessed when you have an opponent who you jive with, and we jive with the Usos so well on so many different levels, from conceptualizing how to construct the match all the way into the finish, and everybody has unique ways of just getting in there, and then our in-ring chemistry too is like just chef's kiss.
Stole your line there, SP3. Did Kofi Kingston. There was more to that answer, as Kofi is a very long-winded person. They told me I had 10 minutes. We ended up going 15, and I only asked 4 questions. So did ask him about Big E dropping the WWE Championship. Of course, obviously, the similarities between Big E's title loss and Kofi's title loss. And then we talked about the Forbidden Door and the Royal Rumble and everything coming up. So again, that all drops this coming Friday at 7 a.m. SP3, are you ready to dive into the 5 count this evening? The big questions coming out of AEW Dynamite.
I was born ready. I had to change my name to SP3.
All right, we're going to open up by talking about Mr. Adam Cole, baby. We opened up the show with him tonight, flanked by Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And again, man, you just see the star power that is Adam Cole. He's playing a heel, but he's still massively over with the crowd. A crowd that, and I'm not the only one who said this, was not the hottest in the history of AEW. There were times where I'm like, am I watching Raw? What the hell is going on here? There were some dead spots tonight, but when Adam Cole is out there, the entire crowd is engaged. They're all with him with the boom. They're with him with the Adam Cole baby. And I'm just getting the undisputed era vibe here from them, that they have massive plans for him and Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. And then we had that great exchange with the best friends. Britt Baker comes in running down and makes the save with Chris Statlander there. And this was you just saw the on-screen chemistry from them. They weren't together very long on screen, but they just oozed sparks, man. Like Britt goes in and stops the kiss from the Young Bucks and says, no, get out of here. You don't touch my boyfriend. I do. The whole thing I thought was a really, really fun open, but this was obviously built around Adam Cole. The question I'm going to ask you here is, are you buying or selling Adam Cole as the AEW World Champion before the end of 2022? I'm not saying it has to happen next month, but sometime this year, do you think he wins the gold?
If it didn't have that before the end of 2022, I would be buying, but I'm selling because AEW has shown that they have a plan for their AEW World Championship most of the time. And the plan right now, it seems that more and more every week, it's going to be for certain that Hangman Page is going to be the champion until they are ready to put it on MJF. And after MJF, it could be either CM Punk or maybe even Darby Allin, but I don't see that transpiring, all of that transpiring before the end of 2022. If we're talking about can Adam Cole be the champion in 1 year's time, that's a possibility. Maybe by 2023, he could become the AEW World Champion. He doesn't have to be the World Champion this year, though, to maintain the level of popularity, the level of how over he is right now, because this whole angle with Red Dragon and the Young Bucks kind of fighting over him, and then he's now being associated with the biggest female star in the company. He's already almost as over or maybe even more over than Hangman Adam Page, the AEW World Champion right now. So, I mean, in my eyes, I think that he should be a title contender, but I don't see him winning the title before the end of the year.
I don't either. I am also selling this, and it's just because that's not really the story that looks like they're setting up right now. Obviously, they are building to some kind of a civil war here between the elite and between the new era, the undisputed era, and it's kind of a slow burn, but we all see it coming. And AEW, they excel at long term storytelling. So however long that goes, it's going to eat up a large chunk of 2022 that I would bet. And I do agree with you. I think MJF is next in line. And we'll talk about Hangman Adam Page because he does have a new challenger right now, which is not MJF. MJF is still embroiled in this feud with CM Punk, which, again, another thing that they are slow burning right now to try and extend that out as long as possible. I will say this much. I'd be willing to bet that there is a point this year where Adam Cole is the TNT champion and the rest of the Undisputed Era are the tag team title holders. I just see some kind of angle where all three of those guys have gold around their waist by the end of the year. I think because they don't play hot shot with that AEW World Championship.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe we get 2, possibly 3 title holders this year, including Hangman Adam Page and MJF. Maybe MJF drops it by the end of the year. Do I think he drops it to Adam Cole? Maybe, but not necessarily. We do have a new challenger for Hangman Adam Page, as I said, or at least it appears to be so. Boy, they had a swerve there for a second because Hangman comes out. He's over as hell. He's talking about how he went to war with Bryan Danielson and he's ready for a new challenger. And then we get Dan Lambert coming out there screaming into the microphone. And usually I roll my eyes at Dan Lambert, but I thought he did a really, really good job in his promo tonight. I wasn't annoyed whatsoever by it. Although I will say that Hangman had the best line of the night when Lambert started talking and he just goes, just shoot me. Like, I don't even want to deal with this crap right now. Somebody just shoot me. I would rather die. At first, I thought they were setting this up for Scorpio Sky. And then all of a sudden, this massive swerve with Lance Archer, somebody we haven't seen since October. Last match he had was against Eddie Kingston, and then he got injured. Now he comes back, looks like he's going after Dan Lambert, and then nope, pops the hell out of Hangman Adam Page, drives him through a chair. Really close, by the way, that Hangman got to actually hitting his face on the chair before going through it. So that one was a little bit of a scary moment. Anything that makes me jump out of my chair, it's a good moment for me. Are you good, SP3, with Lance Archer as the apparent next challenger to Hangman Adam Page in his AEW World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, because we have 6 weeks until Revolution, there's a couple of things, or 7 weeks, 6 or 7 weeks before Revolution. There's a couple of things they can do. they can really build this as like a rivalry and an intriguing story where Lance Archer gets victories and earns the opportunity for the AEW World Championship at Revolution, or they can have this as a TV main event and get Hangman another title defense before the pay-per-view, before they like the beginning of February, they start like the real build, because they do have Beach Break in 2 weeks in Cleveland. Probably do want to have a big match for that show, so it would make sense for them to kind of give Lance Archer a couple wins on Dark and next week on Dynamite, and then he's the number one contender. Or it could be Hangman is pissed off at the fact that he got attacked, and he's the one that challenges Lance Archer, and Lance Archer convinces him to put the title on the line. There's a couple of different ways they can go about it, but I'm good with it because it's a different type of challenge than what he had with Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega before him. You have a monster heel. I honestly think this would have been Miro's spot. I've been saying this for a while, even before they inserted Miro into the AEW World Title Eliminator, that Miro and Hangman Page is one of the matches that I want to see most in 2022. And I just think that if Miro was healthy, just because he has that character, God's favorite champion, and he's trying to get back that spot, I could see him filling that spot. So Lance Archer being the replacement, I'm good with it.
What the hell is going on outside of your apartment right now? New York City, baby. Gotta love it. I'm a little torn here. I'm excited to see this matchup for sure. Hangman and Lance Archer. And here's one of the other things. They don't have to have Lance Archer earn this because it's a new year. Everybody's records get reset. He has just as much, say I could step up to the Hangman Adam Page as anybody else does, because most of the records, all the records have been wiped clean. People have like 1 or 2 matches under their belt, if anything, right now. So he has as much say as stepping up to challenge him as anybody. So they don't have to give him those wins. I kind of hope they do, though, because the thing with Lance Archer, which is the same thing that it's been for pretty much all of their other huge guys, Brian Cage, Powerhouse Hobbs, Wardlow, these guys don't win big matches. They just don't. And Lance Archer has not won except for beating Jon Moxley for the United States title, the IWGP United States Championship. Except for winning that matchup, which wasn't an AEW championship, this guy loses every big fight that he's in. And that's my biggest hang up here, is because while the match is going to be great, Lance Archer ain't winning this damn match. So this would just be another big match where Lance Archer would lose, and he's supposed to be this unstoppable, powerful Murderhawk monster. This dude gets beat like he's a setup for the final boss in every Mario video game that's ever been created.
Lance Archer is very much the Kane of
Yes.
of AEW. They heat him up when they need him for a big match, but he's gonna subsequently lose that big match. So it's not going to be very much intriguing as far as who you think's going to win, because you kind of know at this point. But as long as it's a good match, I mean, it helps Hangman Page because it gives him a monster to overcome.
Yeah, it's not just because the outcome is predictable doesn't mean it's going to be bad. That is for sure. This was pretty much a predictable outcome. I think this shaked out as much as most of us saw, with CM Punk battling one of those big monsters in Wardlow, who is, let's face it, he's on a heater right now. This guy looks absolutely incredible. He is really starting to get over. This crowd wants him to beat the ever-loving crap out of MJF so damn bad right now, and it might be one of the biggest pops in AEW history when it finally happens. It looked as though we were going to get some kind of an altercation between them before the chairman, Sean Spears, stepped in. So something that we talked about last week, whether or not Wardlow would finally turn on MJF, did not happen here, but it's coming. And it's coming sooner rather than later. They're not going to be able to drag this out much longer. They got to pull the trigger. But CM Punk does defeat Wardlow with a big assist to MJF. Wardlow had Punk beat clean as a sheet in the middle of the ring after the Symphony of Power Bombs, which is a fantastic name, by the way. And MJF is like, no, don't you pin him. I want more. He's freaking Kylo Ren screaming from the top of an AT-AT going, more. Give me more. And it ultimately ends up costing him when CM Punk is able to put on an inside cradle. Not the best inside cradle I've ever seen in the world. And then Lance Archer just has to lay there and take the pinfall. Not a believable finish whatsoever. I think Wardlow was just too damn big to make the inside cradle look like something. But I don't know how else they make that match work and get Punk the actual win going over on Wardlow without that finish the way that they booked it. So number 3 here in the 5 count. CM Punk does defeat Wardlow. How do you feel about the finish of the match tonight?
I like the finish. Sometimes, like you said before, predictable is the right option. The predictable option is the right option, and this was the right option. Wardlow beat CM Punk. He beat him to an inch of his life. The Powerbomb Symphony, he had 5 of them again. He had the match won, and MJF was like 2 more, give him 2 more. Then he gives him an 8th one through a table at ringside. CM Punk barely gets back in the ring. He gives him another, and he's just like, keep going. Like, basically, it just seemed like MJF didn't want Wardlow to win. He wanted Wardlow to punish CM Punk. He did not want him to win. And Wardlow was just so distracted by MJF and his nonsense, and so infuriated by MJF that he just messed up, and it got the better of him. And I like the post-match because you see he's still over with the crowd. And I like the reaction of the crowd for this match in particular on the night, because at the beginning, the fans were like kind of split down the middle. Like, there was some fans chanting for Wardlow, which says a lot for a guy that just won the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Most Popular Wrestler of 2021, CM Punk, that Wardlow's in there and getting a reaction from the fans. It tells you that he's getting over. And you saw that with the post-match with him in his response to MJF, and it made me believe that this angle, the blow up, the blow off, the final babyface turn is coming very soon. It might be coming in 2 weeks when we're in Wardlow's hometown of Cleveland, Ohio at Beach Break, that we might see the turn there. So I like this. I feel good about this finish and what this match accomplished.
Yeah, this was storytelling at its finest, and they definitely gave Wardlow a big rub here with this. He beat the ever-loving crap out of CM Punk tonight, and he had him beat. Absolutely had him beat. And again, my only complaint is that the inside cradle looks sloppy, and I think that had a lot to do with Wardlow's big frame, and I didn't buy a half-dead CM Punk being able to hold him down for 3 seconds. But I'm trying to analyze.
Wardlow gave him plenty of time to recover, because he got up from the table spot at ringside, got back into the ring. Then he was looking at MJF, arguing with MJF the whole time. And then finally, when he got back to CM Punk, that's when he got the inside cradle. He gave Punk more than enough time to have enough energy to at least get the inside cradle. So I bought that as a finish. But I just say, like I said, Hangman Page is over more because of his victory last week against Bryan Danielson. But the biggest star on this show, to me, the 2 biggest stars, was Adam Cole and MJF, because MJF has 2 hot feuds at once. Like, he's got the whole angle and story going on with Wardlow. At the same time, he has the hottest feud in professional wrestling today with CM Punk. It's quite amazing how he's balancing in both.
Yeah, no, he's on fire. There's absolutely no question about it. He has the crowds eating out of the palm of his hand. And again, we go back to predictability. We all knew that he was going to scream Sean Spears' name at the end of his second promo tonight, but it didn't make it any less good. I don't know, that just seems like the wrong word, but it was fantastic. I mean, MJF was again on fire tonight, a fantastic performance. And I related it to Adam Driver in Star Wars, but man, I'm not saying that is a bad thing. Like, him screaming, like, I want you to hurt this man to where he can no longer compete ever again, or maybe he retires. That was really, really good. And you just see Wardlow, the slow babyface turn with him going, Come on, man. He's done. Do I really need to keep power bombing? Well, you pay my bills, I guess, or you give
He's
me
like, do your job. Do
Yes.
your job.
Yeah, at some point though, you gotta if you're Wardlow, you gotta go. I'm under contract with AEW. Do I really need this MJF money?
No, they've established he's not under contract with AEW. He's under contract with MJF.
I mean, in storyline fashion, yeah.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing we're going by. We're not going by the real life thing. Come on, we're talking about the story. The story is he's under contract to MJF, not AEW.
All you got to do is go to Tony Khan and be like, "Hey, can you give me a damn contract? You're giving one to everybody else." We'll talk about the new signee coming up here in just a little bit. One of the more cerebral moments of the night was we were all expecting another banger match between Serena Deeb and Shida. We did not get that at all because Serena Deeb didn't let Shida get to the ring tonight, took her knee out before the match even started. The match then started, and she went all out on that knee. Shida didn't even get like a moment of offense in this match, and before we knew it, the referee was stopping the match, and Serena Deeb had won. And then afterwards, Serena hits the knee with the kendo stick. So maybe this is writing Shida off of TV for maybe a little bit, couple weeks. Who knows? We'll see. She could be back next week for all I know. But this seemed like a write-off spot. But this ain't over. This feud ain't over after 4 matches now. We're going to get a 5th. So I ask you, SP3, what should the end game for this rivalry be?
I'm thinking either 2 out of 3 falls or a submission match. That would be the end game for me. But I've enjoyed this is one of the best women's feuds, probably the best women's feuds outside of Baker and Rosa in AEW, because like anytime they're in there, you anticipate it's going to be a great match because we've seen them deliver great matches before. But really, this whole feud has been building up the character of Serena Deeb, this kind of like sadistic but yet like technical wrestling savant who just wants to tear apart Shida because Shida proved herself to be better than her. Like she's already won the series. Basically, most series in wrestling are three matches, and Shida won. But Deeb is so obsessed with Shida that she challenged her, goaded her into this last match, and just took her out. Didn't even want a match, just took her out, just made herself look like so intimidating and look like someone who should be in the running for the AEW Women's World Championship. So I'm liking what they're doing with Serena Deeb's character right now. But if I had to pick one match, I think the end game should probably be like 2 out of 3 falls between these two ladies, because I think that's the nice way to put a capper on it and guarantee another classic between these two.
The reemergence of Serena Deeb has been one of my favorite things to watch in AEW. Forget the women's division. In AEW, she had the promo of the week last week. She is really, really damn good at her job. She is the professor of professional wrestling. I mean, she knows what she's doing. Tonight was more brilliant character work. You had everybody screaming at her, "What's wrong with you?" And she's just staring Shida down. This is personal. This is heated. These two women definitely want to just destroy one another. And you said it, man. You brought it up. This is the best women's rivalry since Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker.
Yeah.
So let's run it back. Lights out match. Let's go. Let's go. No holds barred. Nothing that matters. Not unsanctioned. Have these two women go at it and rip each other's throats out. That, to me, that's the end game. Hands
Why
down.
not?
There is no reason to not do it. And I think that's the direction that they're going. I think anything other than that would be a little bit of a letdown for me. Just throwing that out there. Number 5 here on the 5 count. Very entertaining main event that we had tonight between Sami Guevara and Daniel Garcia. Shenanigans on the outside, even though it is what it is. I'm actually kind of liking this rivalry between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho. I loved Kingston, just like the way he interjected into the camera while Jericho was cutting the promo tonight. Kingston's gold in everything that he does. But that aside, this was a fun matchup for the interim TNT title. Sammy Guevara does retain. which is setting up for Cody Rhodes, who is going to be returning next week. So obviously Cody and Sammy, they're going to be battling over, I guess, the unification or who the true TNT champion is at some point. But we talked about the young guns earlier, and we saw a lot of them on this show get highlighted. Again, Dante Martin, Sammy Guevara, Daniel Garcia. Let's focus on the two that are on the main event here. And I honestly, I don't know how I'm going to answer this question. I've been thinking about it as the episode has been going on, and I don't know if there's even a right answer to this. So I may cop out on it. Number 5, SP3. Who has the higher ceiling, Sammy Guevara or Daniel Garcia?
Right now, it would be Sammy Guevara because they're both young. I think Sammy Guevara is 26. Daniel Garcia is 22. So Daniel Garcia definitely has probably more time for him to develop. And he just has like this grittiness in the ring. I feel like right now in the ring, I would probably take Daniel Garcia because he fits more of the style that I enjoy, more of like the William Regal, Bryan Danielson type technical wrestling, grind them into the mat type of technical wrestling. I just love the way Daniel Garcia does that. And he did that in that main event matchup, which I thought was great. Sammy Guevara, I say he has the higher ceiling right now because he has shown more to us that he is one of the better in-ring performers just because he has that unique high-flying ability and he sells. He is just superb at selling the offense of his opponent as well. But the one thing that he stands out more than Daniel Garcia at this point, because we've seen so little of Daniel Garcia, is as a character. Sammy Guevara has shown that he could be an effective douche type of heel that no one likes and everybody wants to see beat up. And over the last couple of months, he's shown himself to be a determined, valiant babyface that the fans can rally behind. So he's shown that range already at 26 years old. That's the only reason he has a higher ceiling. In the next 6 months, we may see something out of Daniel Garcia that kind of shifts it and says that he has the higher ceiling. But right now, I'll go with Guevara.
The evolution of Sammy Guevara during his time in I mean, this was a guy who was coming out with a damn panda on his head at the at the beginning, the early days of the AEW, and then he gets brought into the inner circle, and Jericho takes him under his wing, and he really, really takes off. I'm going to answer this differently, but I agree with you. I think they have the exact same ceiling, but I think Sammy Guevara reaches it first because he is ahead, and that is not a knock, obviously, on Daniel Garcia. He should not be as good as he is for as young as he is.
Yeah.
It's insane. He's obviously a natural. This is somebody who I first started paying attention to because of John Alba from Ad Free Shows, who worked with Daniel Garcia out on the indie circuit. And he adamant on Twitter saying, watch this kid, watch this kid, watch this kid. And he's right. You see there is something there with Daniel Garcia. I see no greenness whatsoever from him. And to AEW's credit, they had put him in some pretty big matchups since bringing him in and aligning himself with 2.0. And he may not get the big wins, but he's delivering. It's the same thing that they did with Dante Martin. I could throw Dante Martin in here and I would say the same damn thing. He's got the same ceiling. It's just all depends on it's just a race on who gets there first. I think Sammy, with everything that he's gone through and everything that he has shown us with those character changes and the character developments and being able to be both a really good heel and a really good baby face and just being a little bit older. Yeah, I think he does get to the finish line first. But for all three of those guys, I'll even throw Dante Martin in there. I think hands down, yeah, the ceiling is very, very high, and AEW really does have something. Considering the roster that they have and all of the top level stars that they keep bringing in on top of the young guys, I mean, it's really hard to break through. But you throw Jungle Boy in there as well. They have a lot of really, really good young talent that's already good, that has the potential to be great. AEW is set up for success for the years to come, and Tony Khan deserves a lot of credit for assembling this roster and developing it the way that he has. And we do have a new addition, SP3, to the roster, Mr. Brody King, now in the House of Black, another tag team, as you said, to add. I wouldn't be surprised if we add another member or two coming up here soon. I'm very curious as to what happened with where this Pac promo that we saw tonight is going to lead to.
He's turning into Daredevil, ladies and gentlemen. Pac is going to be Daredevil. This is an awesome payoff for me on the True Hill Heat YouTube channel. I review AEW every week with Jimmy Macaram, and he's been asking for weeks, where's Pac? Why did I mention it in that Malachi Black blinded Pac? And Jimmy's favorite show is Daredevil. This is like the ultimate payoff. They went weeks without saying anything, and now he's going to be Daredevil. It's awesome.
So should we change his name to Pac Murdoch?
You might be on to something. He
Yeah.
comes out with the red glasses. Oh man, he's gonna catch a brick coming out of window.
He's gonna be in the next multiverse, MCU flick. Actually, did you hear that? Totally off base. Did you hear that rumor that they might be bringing in Ben Affleck as Daredevil for like a brief cameo in?
Oh, please no!
Bad?
Please no! Please God no! Please.
Have you ever seen the extended version of that movie?
No.
It's better. It's much better. It's still not good, but it's much, much better. Anywho,
I'm not watching that.
Getting completely off base here. By the way, rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan. I miss that guy. Anywho, best part of the movie. But we do have a new addition. It is Brody King. For those people out there who might not be as familiar with Ring of Honor as you are, I saw your tweet. You're very excited for him to get this opportunity. What do you think about this mashup with him and Aleister Black?
Well, these two are the current PWG Tag Team Champions, the House of the Black Throne, and they just fit each other, just look wise. All the tattoos, and then mixing in with the House of Black, and it just a nice little payoff for Malachi Black. When you put people with like a big guy or make them into a stable leader, it builds them up more. It's going to get Malachi Black over more. For months, we've been hearing about the House of Black, and a lot of it has been referencing like the fans. We didn't know what it really was, or was if it was going to be a stable, but this first person coming in is a great first start because Brody King is so talented. He's a big man that has a lot of agility, a lot of speed, and he's just so hard hitting. Like if you've seen Walter chop some people, like Brody King is a person that has a chop that would make Walter blush. Like he is very hard hitting. His his running crossbody is just ridiculous. I remember his match with Jay Lethal. He decapitated him one time, and he just has a lot of different moves that makes him a very like high impact type of guy to watch in the ring, and he's going to mesh very well with a wide assortment of guys in AEW. And I'm hoping that this Rey Fenix injury does go by. He has a speedy recovery. Shouts out to him. I got my Lucha Bros shirt on just for him as well, but because I want to see Lucha Bros versus House of Black, because Brody King is very proficient in Lucha Libre. If you've never seen a man his size do Lucha Libre, you are going to be in for something. So that's why the one match that I want to see from the House of Black tag team is them versus the Lucha Bros. I know we're probably going to get Penta versus Malachi Black, but I'm very excited about Brody King and the potential of the House of Black in AEW.
As a big guy who has been in the ring and tried to do Lucha Libre style, I can attest to just how damn difficult that is to pull off. So I would be very excited to see that on AEW TV. That is Sid Puller III, aka SP3. A lot of letters there. Follow him on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. For those who are not on the YouTube channel right now, that is TRU Heel SP3. My name is Rick Ucchino. Follow me on Twitter at Rick Ucchino, RICKUCCHINO. Do not forget, subscribe to the Believe in Pro Wrestling YouTube channel, 7 a.m. Friday morning, this Friday, January 14th. My interview with Kofi Kingston drops. It's going to be the first of many exclusive interviews on this channel. So go ahead and hit that damn subscribe button while you're there. Trust me, it will be worth it. at some point this weekend, Sid and I will be back to talk about SmackDown and Rampage. My day job is killing me on Saturday. Plus, the Bengals have a playoff game, so I'm going to be too nervous to even talk until that thing is over. It's been 31 years, Sid. Can I get one damn win? Can I get one damn win? That's all I want. I may be inconsolable. I may be inconsolable this weekend, but I do believe in Joe Burrow. We'll be back this weekend on the Believe in Pro Wrestling podcast channel. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your